Greetings folks, this is Woody from Obadiah's Wood Stoves. This is a video series about hot water and heating hot water with wood stoves. It doesn't matter if it's a wood cook stove, it doesn't matter what it is. So it's basically wood heating or heating water with wood. There's a lot of ways to do that. You get a lot of calls for people who want to use wood cook stoves for hydronic heating. I have a wide variety in this stove of various ways to heat water. And I'm going to go through them and I'm going to show you how they all work. What you're looking at here is an SE Ironheart. It's an old workhorse from England. This stove was actually first built in 1854. It was on Shackleton's exploration to Antarctica. It's got a long history. It's one of my favorite stoves. So you have a wood cook stove. Doesn't matter if it's an Ironheart, doesn't matter what it is. You have a firebox, and if it's a cook stove, you have an oven. So we're going to deal with the firebox. Let's say you want to be able to have hot water available if there is an emergency, the power goes out. You could have a water reservoir, which is basically a tank that would hang on the side of your stove. Various stoves have those, like Sweetheart or Heartland Oval, the Elmira Ovals, the Sweethearts, and various other old cook stoves. I don't believe the Waterford had that option, but anyhow, that's one option. There is a stove over here I can show you that has a water reservoir on it. It's a very large reservoir. Excuse my messy shop here. But this here is a margin stove, and there's a stainless steel tank on the back of it, and literally it would have a coil that would heat the water in that tank. Then you have another Amish stove. The first one's Mennonite, this one's Amish. They have a tank that literally sits on the back of their stove, stainless steel tank, and because it's sitting on it and the flue collar is running through the middle of it, it's passively heated. Very cool. So you could have that tank and never have to put any water in it, and it would just sit there empty until you needed it. So in an emergency, that's the best way to go, a water reservoir. So this particular stove by margin, the water reservoir doesn't get hot because it makes no contact with the top of the stove. The chimney is separated from the contact of the reservoir. Therefore, this thing would sit and just turn stagnant, maybe get 100 degrees max. Not a very good design. So you have to have a water coil that would be in the firebox, and therefore, unless there's water in the reservoir, to keep the water inside the coil, and then it's going to boil if you're not using it. If that thing starts boiling, you are going to have little fuzzy mold growing in the corners of your house and on all your windows and all that happy stuff. And then your nose is going to constantly run, and your kids are going to get sick, and you're going to get allergies, and yada, yada, yada. Not a good deal. You don't want mold, you don't want mildew. So, if you do a water reservoir, and you're off-grid, and you're constantly utilizing the water in it, it's fill and drain. Some people will take like a toilet plunger and put it in there, and the plunger goes down and fills back up. If it fails, it'll flood it, just like your toilet in your house. They're fairly good. However, they don't work good in high temperatures. It has to be an old-fashioned brass one if you go that route. Don't put a plastic one in them. They don't hold up in the hot temperature. So a lot of guys will just run a spigot right here, and you stand, turn the spigot on, fill it up, and then there's industrial float levels that could be installed. I'm not going to get into all that rigmarole. If you're going to do that kind of system, and it's purely an emergency, look at the Kitchen Queen or the Pioneer Princess and the way that their water reservoirs are situated. So, back to coils. So from here, where do you go? From here you go to a coil. Like I said, if you have a passive tank, either on the side, it's fill and drain, there's no coil, there's nothing, it can sit empty, and nothing happens. No mold develops. If you have a water reservoir and you're not constantly filling and draining it, you will have stagnant water. You never, ever, ever make tea from a water reservoir. You never drink the water. It's for bathing and cleaning only. If you are bathing, keep your mouth closed. Put some bleach in your reservoir once in a while, a couple drops. It'll keep it disinfected. Otherwise, it will grow green, slimy fuzz. So, that's your passive system. You start off with a water coil. This is a stainless steel coil. The hardware store that sells stainless steel fittings, and you can make your own. Very simple. Nothing to it. Okay, this one's been used hard. Now, key is the inside of that pipe. As you can see, it's small diameter. If you have any kind of scale or minerals in your water, and the way that you tell this, if you've lived anywhere for any length of time, is lift the lid on the teapot and see what it looks like inside. If it's all white and built up, that's what will happen in here. If you look at the dynamics of this, you have a very small surface area, just a tiny flat surface at any one point because it's radiused. So when it's in the fire, the infrared rays are hitting basically a round shape and ricocheting. Infrared is what transfers the energy from the fire to the water. Okay, infrared is the infrared rays. That's the heat that you feel that this absorbs. Okay, so a coil of this would be enough hot water for generally 2 people in a domestic water situation. So this would be installed in the firebox. On either side, you would drill holes out the back of the firebox, and you would connect plumbing to the back of this. Usually a universal connector. You gotta hook it through the wall of the stove. So what you do is you go to an electrical store or hardware store, and the fittings that go through the walls of your electrical boxes are the very same size, and they're star nuts. So you want 4 of them, screw them on, they're 3/4 inch, and put one on, and then line this up, mark your hole, find the center, drill your hole through the wall of the stove, 2 of them, fit this in, make sure it fits, put your star on to hold it, put your star on to hold it, push the star up against the wall, and put the other star on the back, leaving enough threads on the outside so that you can connect a fitting on the top and the bottom. You're going to put a union and a union so it can be disconnected, the stove can be removed from your plumbing.